your crisis management system is working so well, why is your time being wasted with problem behavior? Listen, if you want to drastically reduce behavioral issues, including those that are intense and require restraint, stick with me as I provide you with specific criteria for a complete crisis management system and what every decision maker should know. There are many schools and treatment facilities that must deal with increasingly dangerous behavior like physical aggression and even self-injurious behavior. In an earnest attempt to address these mounting issues, they seek out help with crisis management, but end up receiving training from companies with a program that primarily focuses on techniques like de-escalation and restraint. Now, while these are certainly both critical components to managing crises, they do not represent a complete crisis management system. In fact, de-escalation and restraint should actually comprise the smallest part of the system. As a result of the narrow focus on de-escalation and restraint, dangerous behaviors occur again and again and again. This leads to frustration, low morale, injury, litigation, and staff and faculty turnover. In addition, it negatively impacts relationships between the professionals and the learners, and ultimately impedes the education or treatment of the individual as well as other individuals in the building. Educators, staff, parents, and guardians desire a crisis management system that doesn't just band-aid the situation, but actually leads to a reduction in the frequency and severity of dangerous behaviors and the associated issues. One that simultaneously serves to maintain relationships in a way that helps, not hurts, the educational or treatment processes. Every organization needs to have a complete crisis management system and have it fully adopted into its operations. But as you'll find out in the follow-up video, having the right system is only the first crucial step. Embedding the system deep into the processes and culture of the organization is the essential second one. But for now, let's dig into the criteria that make up a complete crisis management system. A complete crisis management system grounded in behavior science is critical for reducing dangerous behavior. Behavior science is necessary because systems are made up of a number of processes made up of procedures, and procedures are ultimately made up of behavior. A complete crisis management system has to have procedures that address all the components of the cycle of crisis. This means having procedures that effectively support the individual during stable functioning, during pre-crisis behavior, and during actual crisis and during post-crisis. However, most schools and organizations are not equipped with systems or behavioral science because they are focused too much on putting out behavioral fires by responding with de-escalation and crisis intervention. Therefore, too little on prevention and seamless reintegration of the student back into the educational or treatment environment. This is like sending a young child to the doctor's office for issues associated with being overweight, but failing to create an environment at home that provides regular opportunities for healthy eating and exercise while simultaneously educating them on the importance of eating well and working out. Oh, and then the doctor makes diet and exercise prescriptions that are not based on rigorous research. Let's take a look at the cycle of crisis and its critical components as outlined by PCM. The cycle of crisis identifies characteristics of an individual's functioning before, during, and after a crisis as presented on the horizontal axis labeled time. It is this unique combination of an individual's behavioral state, physiological state, thinking, and emotion, noted underneath the bell curve, that determines an individual's level of functioning. By understanding the individual's functioning as represented by the vertical axis, it is possible to determine the most appropriate way to interact and assist the individual. In this graphic, you will also note that on the left side, an individual's level of functioning moves from adaptive to maladaptive behavior, which is characterized by the circles that include stable functioning, levels of pre-crisis, crisis, and levels of post-crisis. Each circle, different in size, represents the relative number of management responses available at particular levels of the cycle of crisis. Each section of the curve, identified as prevention, de-escalation, crisis intervention, and reintegration, represents the type of management response that should be provided to an individual based on their level of functioning. In short, the cycle of crisis graphic represents the complete and precise set of evidence-based responses based on the needs of each individual that further separates PCM from every other crisis management system in the world. Having a crisis management system that has a limited set of tools and begins with de-escalation is like a mechanic who offers their services but has a toolbox with only a wrench and a screwdriver in it. And to add insult to injury, they only work on cars when they're breaking down, instead of providing services like oil changes and tune-ups that regularly maintain them. It just doesn't make sense. Knowing what to do and when to do it is critical to successful crisis management, but it's not the final step. It's also about the process of embedding and maintaining an effective crisis management system within your school or facility. You can't just send people to a crisis intervention course and expect they will be prepared to meet the needs of the students or clients just because they walk away with a card or certificate that says they have been trained. Be sure to check out our follow-up video that will focus on moving your crisis management system from getting it to work to making it stick effectively.